Hello, everyone. Welcome to the It's a Tech Tip series webinars. Today, we're talking about Microsoft Outlook and best practices. Today, with me, I have Karen Belbier. How you doing, Karen? And in the
Great.
background, you're going to hear the voice. It's Mr. Robert Rocha. Hello, Robert.
Hey guys, how you doing? Glad to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to go ahead and get started. Robert's going to show us some important settings in Outlook that we need to know about so that we can manage our folders and our messages and clean up our inboxes because sometimes they get pretty full. So Robert's going to share that with us. Go ahead, Robert. I'm going to go ahead and
All
mute
right,
myself.
awesome. So guys, I'm going to kind of show you about a few things. Let me share my screen real quickly. Let me go to share screen. And as you can see, guys, I'm in my email right now. And if you look at my upper left-hand corner, I've got 17,819 emails. You can see that's quite a bit. I don't delete anything, but you don't want your inbox to get that large, and there's some rules that you can do and some techniques that you can learn to help minimize the amount of emails that you have. So for instance, if you're getting a lot of junk mail from different people, different companies, let's say you went to a conference and you went through all the vendor booth and you're sitting getting all these, different type of messages that are coming in that are for to sell you stuff. One way you can get rid of that is there's a feature that's called sweep in the Outlook. And so what sweep does, it's just creates a rule that whenever time that person emails you, you can direct it to go to the trash can. Yes, I was waiting for you guys to get out of that. Are you guys okay? I'm sorry, I found a room. Just give me one moment, people.
So when Robert was talking about the sweep, I was definitely taking a look at that icon that looks like a broom up there.
Yes. Thank you, Kara. So I'm actually sitting down now and I'm in a room and it's kind of quiet. So that's great. So, like for instance, guys, getting back to this sweeping feature, when you get an email that comes in that you're always getting all the time, you can set a rule to either put that in the trash can, or let's say you get a lot of emails from your principal, and you want to put those emails into a separate folder, so that way you have one folder just for your principals, one folder for maybe your CTCs. That way you kind of organize your email as it's coming in. And so I'm going to show you how to do one rule right now called with the sweep feature. And so I'm going to go down my listing here, and I notice that I get a lot of email from Eventbrite. And I really don't want to get those emails anymore. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to use a sweep feature to create a rule to put that into the trash can. So what I'm going to do is on my MacBook, I'm going to do a secondary click on Eventbrite. And what that's going to do is it's going to highlight it. Now it's going to open up these other windows, but I'm just going to ignore that for now. I'm just going to click again over here on the side, and it should get me out of here in just a moment. There we go. Well, I was trying not to open it up, but it did. But notice that since it's highlighted here, if I go to my menu bar up here, I'm going to see an icon that is called the broom, or it's like a sweep feature. And it says make a rule around the selected email authors. So when I click on that, it opens up a message here, and it says sweep messages for messages from Evan Bright Marketing at plans@evanbright.com. And I can move all the messages from the inbox folder and move it to deleted if I want to do that. I can move all messages from the inbox folder and any future messages. So whatever I have currently from Evan Bright, I can move it or delete it, and any future messages that go in there. And then here I can always keep the last message and move the rest from the inbox folder to, again, another designated folder. For me, it's going to be like the trash can. Or the last option I can choose is always move messages older than 10 days from my inbox folder. And that might be a good rule to keep things kind of clean for you. But for this particular message, I'm going to move all messages for the inbox folder and any future messages. So I'm going to click on that particular one. And notice now, for me, by default, it is deleted items. But if I choose this drop-down menu, I can go ahead and choose different folders I have already created. So if I wanted to move, let's say, to Sharo's folder, I can move it there. But like I said, I'm going to do the deleted. So I'm going to click on that one, and I'm going to click OK. And so now it's sweeping all the messages. It's going through all 17,000 messages right now, and it's looking for Eventbrite, and it's going to put all of them into my trash can. And so you notice now my number is kind of decreased here on the side. And if I want to, I can view the rule if I want to maybe make a change to it. But right now I'm gonna click OK. All right. So that was one way to kind of get rid of like your junk mail, things like that. But let's say there's an important person that you want all of those messages to go to. So let's say like Crystal Marish, for her, she's a secretary at Andrus. And I'm going to say I want to save all those messages from Crystal into a folder. Now, you would think I'd have to go create a folder over here in my navigation bar, but we don't have to do that. When I actually click on Crystal, I'm going to do a secondary click or just click on her there. Kind of opens it up. It's highlighted. I'm going to go to Sweep Feature, and I'm going to go to move all messages for the inbox folder and any future messages. I'm going to choose that option again. That's my favorite option. And when I go to my drop-down menu here, I should have, and I'm not seeing it right now. It's always when you're training, things don't show up. But I should be able to create a new folder here, and I'm not seeing that. So let me try that again, guys. Give me one more moment here, and move up my page. I'm gonna go to full screen. Maybe that'll do it for me here. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go do a secondary click again, or just click on it and do the sweep feature. I'm gonna move to, and usually it comes up. There it is. See, I told you it was still there. I just kind of move up my window a little bit to go to full screen, but I have that one create folder. Now, yours may not be as far below because I have a lot of folders that I have that kind of pushes that create folder down the list. But I can create a new folder, and I can call that here Crystal. And I want to put here Andrus, so I kind of know that I misspelled that one. Yes, I did. Andrus. Okay, and I'm going to click on Save. And so now it's going to create that folder, Crystal Andrus. And when I click OK, every single messages that's ever come in and any future message from Crystal is going to end up being into her particular folder. And so I believe if I look over here, it's probably haven't created it just yet. I don't see it, but it should be, normally it would populate right here. But again, I have so many folders that it's kind of hard to find them all. And it's not
You just passed her. There she is.
Yeah, there it is, Crystal Andrus. And so right now it found there's 60 messages from Crystal that it moved from my inbox into that particular folder. So I'm just curious, does anyone in the audience have any questions for me or anything that you want to highlight about that?
That's a pretty neat feature because I usually create a rule, but this seems to be, now that I'm looking at this, because I've never used this seems to be a lot faster than going in to create a rule and then finding the email that it's coming from. We can just, because sometimes some of these companies have different emails, or they have one or two different
Mhm.
emails, and then you have to add it to the new rule. But I can just add the new email to that same folder, right?
Correct. Correct. Now, it'll recognize the name Eventbrite and it should put them all into that particular folder. So you don't have to particularly do a certain person from Eventbrite. It is anything from Eventbrite that domain feature, it'll put it into that particular folder or trash can, whatever you choose for it to do. Okay.
Well, that's a lot better. What do you think, Karen?
Really like that for sure. I'm liking that one where it says it'll delete it after the last, I don't know, 10 days, because sometimes I do want to receive messages from certain vendors
Mhm.
because I'll get updates. But then if I don't open it, I like knowing that in 10 days it'll delete and I'll still get the next one just in case I have time to open it up and read it then. So it's nice that there's some options in there for sure.
Yes. And so if you want to, guys, again, if you deleted something, notice now I got 5,866 emails in my deleted folder. But if I click on my deleted folder, if I wanted to choose again, I can kind of do a secondary click on it, and I should be able to get it out of restore. I can restore it out of the trash can. So I can always go back, and if I made a mistake or something, I can always go back and retrieve that particular email. So that can be very beneficial, I think, to know where you can take it out of, when those things happen. Okay. So, Karen, did you want to show them how to do the class list or on that?
Absolutely. I'll share the class list and then send it back over to you for settings.
Sounds great.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to share my email screen with you. And this is something that teachers ask me often is, how do I send an email or create a group? But when they say group, they really don't mean a group inside of Microsoft Outlook. And so inside of Outlook, we have our people where you can create lists, emailing lists, and then you have a space where you can create groups to communicate. Groups are more collaborative spaces, and an email address will populate for the group you create and a space for you to add and share files. And so usually when people are trying to create an email list for just their grade level, they're not intending to create a collaborative space. So right now, what I'm going to go over is how to create an email list so that you can email maybe your grade level or email I'm going to call it a group of parents, but again, we would call that an email list. So in order to do that, you would head over to people on the left-hand side of your Outlook, and I am using Outlook within the browser. When you're in here, you're going to notice that, well, actually, it defaults to all of my contact lists. And so these are lists of different, people that I would email throughout the year, right? So that I wouldn't have to remember 10 different people and type them all into a new email. And so in order to create a list, you would hit the drop down for new contact, and you would just click new contact list. And contact list, like I said, is just going to be a compilation of people that you want to email. So I'll create a practice one with the people inside of the room with me right now. So I'm going to call this, let's see if this will work for me. It's a tech tip webinar really fast. And if I was always going to include specific people inside of this email list, like Robert, you're going to want to make sure that you know their email address. You're going to drop them in. And Justin, I'm going to add you to this as well. There we go. And I can delete this. And so I can create that email list, and you can see who my contact people are in here. And then if I create it, I'm the only person who has access to this list. So I'm going to click the word create here, and I'm going to hop back over to my email, and I'm going to hope that it created itself pretty quickly. When I need to send an email, and if I always want to make sure that I'm inviting the people that are in my It's a Tech Tip webinar, I would click my new email and just type that in. It's a tech tip. And then that list would appear. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. What's neat about this is if it is a grade level, or if it is, say, 3rd through 5th grade, when you click the plus sign, it's going to expand all of the people outside of the list. So I'll click on this. And if for this session, Jesus was not going to be in attendance and I didn't want to send this message to him, I could click that X and just delete him off and then begin to write my email. So for our team, I do the same thing. I create a contact list, and you'll see that I have my contact list for my team, and then I can send the email to my team every single time I need to use that. So that's a contact list. One thing that you might notice is that sometimes when you type in a list, know what you've named your list. I can see there's also a group called EPISD I.T.S. And so if there's an email address associated with it, it is not the same as a contact list. This is actually going to some type of group that was created, and that group has its own set of emails. And so some campuses do have different groups. And in this case, like I said, the purpose was to share with you how to create a contact list. I'm going to move this out and just assure you that, let me see, I'm going to click contact list and update this really quick. If you ever need to edit it, it's super easy just to hop on over to your list, press edit, and then add in another person and save. So this can be very easily updated whenever you need to update it so that you can stay current with those email lists that you're creating. That's really it. That's all I wanted to share about creating a contact list. If you're trying to create those, make sure you're using lists and not groups, unless you're intending to create a collaborative space. And I'm going to toss it back over to you, Robert, to share the settings.
All right. And, Karen, one thing I like to mention is sometimes when you're using the class list, if you have an expansive amount of people that you are emailing, you might want to put put the email to yourself and then blind copy the group. So that way you don't have this massive list of people and you have to scroll down to kind of see that particular email. So that might be something you might want to, our audience might want to know about. So cool. All right, guys. So our next session we're going to go ahead and do right now is we're going to kind of go about the settings because believe it or not, there's some different settings that can make your experience a lot better within Outlook. And so if you look up here in the blue bar, if I go up to my upper right-hand corner, I'm going to see that little settings gear icon. And when I click on that, it opens up a little pop-up window, and I can see various options here. And so the first thing I have in settings, of course, I go from my left to my right, I have general, my mail, my calendar, and my people. So these are different settings for all these different pieces of Outlook. And so the first thing I do is when I go here within mail, I can look at the layout. And so in the layout, it's going to be how your messages come in to you, how are you going to view your messages. And so a lot of times when you first access Outlook, your focused inbox is kind of already preset. It's kind of defaulted to a focused inbox. And what that's going to do is it's going to kind of determine emails that are important, like from the district email. And then if you get like maybe external messages, it'll put those into like less important, categorize that as less important messages. But basically at that point, you have two different inboxes that you have to keep checking for. Some people prefer that, some people don't. And I think the big hang up on that particular one is a lot of times what should be considered a focused email or one that should be a high priority, it goes into the lower priority mail. And so you're kind of going back and forth checking to see where that email went. And so I would recommend that you don't use or don't sort by messages. But if not, you can always choose to sort messages into focused and other. And other being that, mail that you probably is not as important for you to look at. But I'm kind of curious in our group here, is there anyone who uses the focused inbox within our group?
I use the focused inbox.
So
Do you
do
like
I.
you like it a lot? All right.
Yes.
Maybe I'm just old school that I want to see everything in one place.
The one thing about it I like, Robert, it's in a sense it's trainable. So you can tell it, if something does go into the other box, I can say always move to inbox. I can right click on the message and say always move to inbox. So from that moment on, it's going to know that that specific email or that person needs to go to my inbox and vice versa. Sometimes I get junk in my inbox. Well, not junk, but vendors and, TCA that I do want to see, but I don't want it in my inbox, and I can train it to always move to other. So I like that feature.
Oh, okay. All right. So a nice difference opinion on that. So that's great. I guess it just depends on how you like to see your email. So I think it's a good thing. So guys, but that's pretty much our layout of that particular one of our focus inbox. And then here, if I go down, I see text size and spacing. And so this will change the font size and number of messages that you're going to see at any one time. And, I'm over 50, so I'm going to always choose large so I can see things. But if you have really great eyes and you want to just see more, have more real estate to see things, more of your inbox, you can choose small as your option there, or you can choose a medium one. But right now I'm using the large, so you can kind of see what that looks like here. Let me change that to small, and so you can kind of see and click on save on the very bottom left. I don't know if you can kind of see that, guys. I'm clicking on save here, and when I click out of here, notice now how my email, the font's got a lot smaller, so it'd be a little bit more difficult for me to read it with my progressed age. So I'm going to go back up here to my settings. I'm going to change that back to large and click on save. There we go. All right. So that's one way you kind of modify your email to something you might like. It was more preferable to you. But if I go down that list, I do have a message organization. And this is a kind of a hot topic. And I think Karen kind of really liked this feature. I think she does. But right now, what it does is, how do you want your messages to be organized? And so I can show emails that are grouped by conversation. So let's say I emailed Karen, and then she replied back to me and I replied back to her. So let's say we had 4 different emails. What it's going to do is it's going to group all those 4 emails under one heading. So the last message that was sent, when I click on that particular message, it's going to show the entire conversation that I've had with Karen. Okay. And so some people like that because they can see everything at one point. And if they're going to have to go hunt around looking for, well, Karen emailed me on Wednesday, but the one mail I'm looking for is the other one she sent on Monday. So you have to kind of get down your list. So if you group it by conversation, you'll see all the messages of that particular thread that you had created or that you had exchanged with an individual or group. My preference, again, I'm old school. I have show emails individual messages because I like to hunt. I want to go and look and find all those different emails that are there. But you can, again, you can put them by that group conversation. Just remember that when you click on it, you have to keep scrolling down to see all the different emails that happen within those exchanges. Okay. Karen, do you use that particular one, teacher Karen, or no?
I turn it off and on. So sometimes I like by conversation and sometimes I prefer individual messages. And so I tend to toggle between depending on, I don't want to call it my mood, but on my productivity, I guess you could say.
Well, I kind of like that idea because, even though you're changing these settings, they're not set in stone. You can always go
Mhm.
back and change and modify them if you don't like them. So I think it's a good thing that you kind of highlighted that, Karen. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. So message height, it doesn't really allow us to do this particular one, so I'm going to skip that one. And then here, sender image. It says choose whether to show each sender's image in the message list. The sender's initials will be shown in the photo if it isn't available. So when you see sometimes with your when you're looking at the email, it'll have like the little round circle. It has either the person's initials, first and last initials on that, or it'll have a little avatar. And so for me, I have a little cartoon avatar as mine as the heat miser, but you can put any avatar that you'd like and it will show up on that particular one. So you can either show the center images or not, but sometimes I like to see what I prefer to have that on. So I'm going to click show sender messages. All right. And then now how the layout of your particular email is going to be is called the reading pane. And so we have 3 choices. So right now I have where when I read my messages, it's at the bottom, and on my new email that I have not opened up is at the top. And of course, my navigation folders are going to be here on the left. And so if you kind of close this up, you can kind of see how my navigation's here, my inbox is on top, and then my red email is going to be below down here. But if I was to go back to my settings and I go back to here, maybe I want to have 3 columns instead. So I click on that particular one and save. And now look how the email looks. So now I have my navigation, I have my email messages here, and then I can actually, on the right-hand side, I can view the message. And so I kind of do like that a little bit because you get to see more of the message. You don't have to scroll as much to see, but again, it's your preferences. And so I'm going to go back to my settings again. And the third option we have is hide the reading pane. So I click on save and close that. I just see my messages now. And when I click on Eventbrite, it actually opens up the entire email. And when I finished with it, I can just click on that X here and it brings me back to my full messages. So that might be kind of very beneficial if you're hunting for messages that you're looking for. So again, it's just preference on what each person likes and how they do their email. Hey, Seuss, do you have a preference on which one you like?
Yeah, I like the reading pane to the right. So, and maybe that's an old school Outlook view that I remember using back in the day, and I just kind of used to that. I do like the conversation piece a lot because I can follow up with the conversation. It does, you like you said, you have to click on it to open, the other conversations, but I do like that view because that way I can stay focused on that particular email, especially if we're going back and forth with information. Although once it gets after 3 emails, you might as well just have a phone call because it's just going to get out of hand unless you're sharing documents or links or something like that.
Correct, correct. All right. So some difference of opinion there. I like that. Okay, so now I'm going to just, guys, go down. It says message list format. How do you want your messages to be displayed? And so here, by default, it puts the sender name first. And so what that means is when I go to my email, it's going to put there who that sent me the email first, right? It's on the left-hand side. But if I was to change that to, um, go down here, subject first, save, close the window. And now you can see, no, did it not save that correctly? Let me try that again. Subject first. I wonder why I didn't display that correctly. Try that again. No. Well, sometimes, guys, technology doesn't work when you want it to work and display it. And so we just had to kind of roll with the punches on that particular one. But normally what it would happen is the subject line would be on the left-hand side and the from would be in the middle here. And that's what it was trying to do. I'm not sure why I had some difficulty in getting that to work for us this afternoon. So, but that was what that particular feature was for. Scroll down. And then here, message preview text. Do you want to show a preview text on that? And it goes show preview text or hide preview text. And on this one, I always do the show preview text so we can kind of get an idea of what it's asking about. So let me see if I can kind of give an example of that. Let's see here. No, I don't actually see it. That particular one. Hey, Seuss, have you tried that particular one? I never really played with that particular function before, so I'm not sure if that's
I do,
here.
but I think some of these functions work on a specific view because I'm on the, like the right side view for the actual message. And when I
Mm-hmm.
clicked on show subject, it actually changed because I had it on show name and the subject went at the top, and then the name of the person went at the underneath that. And then when I do show preview, it actually shows in the message title, it shows a little underneath the name, it shows a little preview of what the email contains. It's like a short little strip of
Yeah.
sentence. It's not a whole lot.
Okay. We'll go back. Maybe that'll
It
be the
it
key
might be
there.
dependent on your layout view, your pane.
Yeah. I wish you would mention that and then and they'll let you know that's how some of these things work. But as Jesus explained that, we will move on from that particular one. Um, Inline attachment previews show attachments in the message list or don't show the attachments in the message list. So I think by default, I'm going to keep that one the way it is. I'm going to skip down a little bit, guys, a little bit further here. There was one that I must have skipped for some reason here. Wow. Let's see here. Attachment by rules, mission format. I think that's pretty much all I was going to show here today, because I kind of went mostly through this list here. So I think we're good.
Can I share
Maybe,
something in there? Will you drive?
sure.
Okay. So one thing that I like under compose and reply, like hop back in. So the second one, this
Yeah.
saves me a lot. So of course you can set up your signature, but if you scroll down, I mean, there's a lot to read. Take the time to read it, but there's one to delay an email.
Oh, that's right.
There we go, right there. Undo send. So this has helped me a lot because sometimes I send off an email and then I realize, oh shoot, I shouldn't have sent it, or I don't know. Like really, like I like to have the 5 to 10 second delay. And what
Mhm.
happens is when it's sending off on the bottom of my email, I have the undo so that I can like stop the email from being sent out. And so I like to have a delay. The only bad thing about the delay is if you send off an email and you close your laptop and run out the door at, 5 o'clock, it doesn't actually send and it'll go to your drafts. I just noticed I have a lot of drafts, so I probably should check that out. But that undo send, I feel like has been something that's really been useful to me. I like to have a delayed send in my.
Yes, I have that set up too. And I was looking for that one a little bit earlier, and I forgot that I had to actually click on compose and reply. It's late in the afternoon, so forgive me, guys,
Yeah.
on that.
Right.
But what's really interesting is that you think 10 seconds is a quick amount of time, but it actually is a significant amount of time to make that decision to add that attachment or maybe not send that email out. So I think it's
Hmm.
kind of a great thing. Let me see if I can find some other things that I had here. Um, when I trained that this summer, there was something I was looking for and I couldn't find what I'm looking for. So let me smart suggestions. No attachments, rules. Oh,
There are two other things
it's
that I
Karen.
think have been helpful to me too. And in case I don't know if you use them, but one is pinning emails and the
Okay.
other is the delay send. Have you used those before?
I have done the delay send and the pin menu, so I will show them how to do that real quickly.
Okay.
So let me go back to my email. And let's say this one from Noemi that I really need to have at my quarterly meeting. I want to pin that to the top. And my pinning means it's going to be, and again, I'm not seeing what I'm having here. I guess when I changed my message, I had one pin from Sharo, and I'm not seeing it anymore. So maybe when I change the different formatting,
Hop,
it got rid of it.
hop back to your inbox. You're in deleted, so that might be why.
Oh,
Maybe.
yes.
Maybe that's why stuff isn't working. There we go.
Karen, thank you so much. So that's the pin email. So let me find another one again from Noemi. So scroll down here a little bit, and I thought I saw that one. Oh, let's do from Crystal Bastillo. So let's say I want to go ahead and look at that particular one. What I can do is I can do a secondary click on that, open it up, and down here I should see a pin feature. And what's going to do is it's going to move that from the in body of my email. I'm going to pin that. And now when I scroll up, I now see that email from Crystal Bustillos. And so if I were going to go back and access it again, I can click on it. I'm always going to see it. The only thing is if you pin a lot of messages together, your inbox that you're going to see is going to get really small, depending on which reading pane that you're using. So, but that is a great feature, Karen, to use. All right, Karen, do you have any other ones that you would like to share?
Send, like if you want to send an email, like say, I mean, I'm not advocating for anybody to work at 10 o'clock at night, but say you want to send an email, but you want to send it out to somebody at a different time, like 8 o'clock in the morning, you
Hmm.
can compose your message. Well, let's
Correct.
see. Oh, well, you
Yeah.
see, you're going a different way. I like that. Go with your schedule send. But you can send it at an appropriate time where they might actually open it.
Yes. And a lot of times, if you're writing email after the hours, it'll say, "Do you want to send this during working hours?" It'll give you that prompt, which is a nice feature. But the way I do it, Karen, is when I click on the send feature, I go to the drop down menu and not hit send, but I can do a schedule send. And then here I can schedule it for tomorrow morning. I can click on that particular one, or I can do a customized time and I can choose a date and time when I actually want that email sent. So that's an option there to do. Karen, did you have another alternate way of doing that?
It's a lot longer. You would go to options. So
Oh,
I like your drop down. Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
a
the
lot
drop
quicker.
down is good.
Okay,
Hmm.
cool deal. All right. Any other suggestions, Karen, on that? Let me go back to my settings here and let's see. I think we're
Those are
good.
definitely my favorite. Yeah, my favorite things inside of, I say favorite things, but the things that I use the most often inside of Outlook.
Mhm. I was looking for one about there was one about links. I can't seem to find it right now. Where it show you a preview of the link. When you're sending a link, it'll give you a preview of the web address. And for
Hmm.
some reason, I'm not finding that right now. So no, automatic replies. No, I thought it was under layout, but I'm not seeing it. Oh, there it is. It's under compose and reply. Link
Hmm.
preview. So when you open a message that contains a hyperlink or add a link to a message, Outlook inserts a preview of the website. If you don't want to see previews, check this inbox below. And so I like to do the preview so that way I have the person who I'm sending the email to, they can get an idea of what the link will look like. So when they actually load it up, they're a little bit familiar with how that particular link works. So I think that's a great feature that's available. And so have you guys used that feature at all? Karen,
Yeah,
I
I
think it
have
was
that one
turned.
turned
I think it
on.
was turned on.
Mhm.
I like
really?
it.
All right. And I thought I saw something else that I wanted to show. Well, we already went through that one. Actually, guys, I think that's the one I think those are pretty much all the things that I wanted to kind of show today um, on our Outlook training. So, all right, I think we're good to go, guys. Any questions?
No, I think it's always fun to just stop and look at the settings and see what they've added and how they've improved each of our tools. And Outlook has definitely changed some things to make it easier to sweep out rules and to organize things. So it's looking good in there. Thanks so much, Robert.
Yes. You know what, Karen? I thought about one last thing for our audience. And a lot of times in our district, we get a lot of phishing emails or emails that look suspicious. And so, what do you do when you get those kind of emails? And so, a lot of times people forward those messages to the ITS to kind of figure out, hey, is this a good message or not? But what you can do is, let's say this course message, let's say I thought that it looked kind of fishy. What I can do is I can do a secondary click on that particular one. And one of the options you have down here, gotta move my box up there, is you have the report feature. And so I can report that as phishing, or I can report that as junk. And so if I report it as phishing here, and it says thank you for reporting, I click OK, and it reports that particular email as a message, and the district will look at it and say, hey, that is a phishing message, and they'll block it from everyone else who's getting that particular message from the district or to the in their district inboxes. Or if not, it will like ignore that rule and it'll allow you to get it again if they deem it to be safe. Okay. So I thought that was one we can kind of show about. That's the last little trick. All
I
right.
I
like it.
like that. It's almost like we're the first line of defense there to make sure that we keep our systems clean of all those phishing attempts.
Yes, yes. That's one thing they can do on their own to report stuff. So I think it's a great feature there for us to use. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for your time this evening, and I hope you learned a lot and enjoyed your time with us.
Well, thank you so much, Robert. Thank you, Karen. Remember that we are recording this and we will be posting this recording on our DLR website. Again, tinyurl.com/DLR EPISD. That is the place where you can find these recordings. The other thing is that we do have our course catalog at on tinyurl.com/DLR catalog. So there's tons of courses there for you guys to take. They're open up for the entire year. We've added things like the Thrill Share, the Rooms, the Promethean, the box sites, even for our webmasters. And so we've added quite a few different courses on there that you can access all year long and you can learn, but also get CP credit. And we even have some discussions in some of these courses where we're kind of going a back and forth there and talking to you guys and you guys are sharing any issues or any questions that you may have, and we're able to see those as well. So at any time, again, our course catalog for learning and also our website to access all of these resources and many, many more things, our events, film festivals, all that stuff that we have that we love to share on a year-round basis. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I appreciate your time, and we hope to see you next time. Another It's a Tech Tip webinar. Have a great evening.